Zoom recording. Okay, Dancy, we'll stop share so that you can see everybody's face. And okay, Shirley's going to join when she can. Then.
Okay, so you ready for me to get started?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than have a conversation with you all. And I don't think I have any presenter privileges, and I don't have anything other than conversation to share. A couple of things. I appreciated those of you all who responded to me. I did a program for Fairmont Rotary last night, and instead of talking specifically about the programs that we're doing for communities and schools, I talked about how we're working with our students and families during this hiatus from school. And there were several of you all who shared some really good information, and I had heard some of this Monday with other EDs from across the state. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of that, and maybe you all are experiencing the same things. It depends on how well, how good the telephone numbers are that you have of your students and your family, as to how you're able to connect with them. I talked with Miss Kathy, and she's got 95% of, or 97% of her students she's able to connect with on a regular basis because she's got good solid telephone numbers. And then I know that there's some of you all who have a real struggle to get current telephone numbers. And so I think do the best you can with the numbers that you have that you know are going to be solid telephone numbers. One of the other things I heard from my peers across the state was there appears to be some apathy now with parents and students, because the rumors are flying, although it has not been confirmed, that we will not go back to school. And we already know that the grading for fourth quarter will not be compiled in those end of year scores. And there's still some things up in the air about seniors and final decisions that DPI and the State Board of Education will need to make. But you all might be experiencing some of that parents are not reaching back out to you, they're not using the resources. And I think we just have to continue to encourage and maybe point out how the learning loss is going to be impactful with our students, because from March until whenever we go back to school, August to September, that's a huge block of time that if children or students are not engaged in some sort of classroom work, they're not going to be ready and prepared to go to the next grade. And you all know that better than I. So continue to be encouraging. I do want to share one or two other things, and then I want to hear from you all about how you're doing. Right now, we have nothing that I'm throwing up on social media except forwarding the things that have come down from national, and I'm sharing those on my page at times. But I wonder if you all don't have some past photographs. It's real easy to put that up on social media, but if you feel uncomfortable doing it and want to send it to Connie or to me, we will work to do that, because I feel like it's important to have some sort of social media content going so people don't forget who we are and what we're doing to help children. And I might call on Miss Shirley and Miss Kayla to help some with that as well. The other thing, and I know that the senior class is important to all of us across the county, and how they're going to be recognized, and how the school system is going to schedule or reschedule, or what that graduation is going to look like. And today, when I was on Facebook, I saw a site that is called Adopt a Senior, and it's specific to Robeson County, and asking people to reach out to our seniors. And I know Miss Kathy and Miss Shirley and Miss Kayla are working with some of those seniors, especially Miss Kayla. And so I would recommend you take a look at that, and then not at this meeting, but at our next scheduled meeting, talk a little bit about how we feel like we can support the seniors that are on our CIS caseload, so that they feel special, and they feel that this time away from school and away from all those end of year things that they would be taking part in can be recognized and can be applauded. And I'm sure there are some ways we can do that. We just need to begin to focus on that as well. Now, I don't want to tell you that I know anything about what's going to happen, but I think all of us are sort of caught up in the rumor mill about what may or may not happen for end of year. And I know that public schools is looking at that and trying to make some decisions. And as soon as we know something, I know that Dr. Stedman and I will pass that information along to you all. Any questions?
Dancy, I've been just following the media yesterday and yesterday afternoon and this morning, and there's a lot of just up in the air right now with our neighboring states, with the things that's going on, and whatever decisions are made there ultimately will probably impact decisions that are made here. My concern is, and this is just me now, my concern is that with South Carolina relaxing, with Florida relaxing, with Georgia relaxing, that they're relaxing too soon. That's my opinion now. That if there is a sudden outbreak of things in a large way in those areas, it's going to cause everything to go back and to be reconsidered all over again.
Right.
Of course, we can't help what they're doing, but they're getting a lot of backlash from the decision, some of the decisions that's being made. I don't think North Carolina has made those decisions yet, and that probably is a wise thing. So, I think in the next few days, because of these early decisions, I think things that could have, if people had just stayed in place and done what they were supposed to do until the end, I think that this is probably going to cause possibly things to be extended longer than what they should have been extended, because people are relaxing too soon. So that's my opinion. I want to get out and go and do like everybody else too, but I'm not going to be crazy. And my son lives in New York City, and he sees and understands and knows what's going on it. He said people have no idea. He said, lest you've lived it. He said it is unreal.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. Well, people are stacked on top of each other up there, and it's very difficult. We live in a rural area, and I'm appreciative of that now, because I do think it makes a difference.
It was in the paper that Robeson County was blessed, or they used the words blessed, but we were blessed simply because we're such a large county and we are spread out. And that Bill Smith said that that he attributed that to our cases being much lower than what they are.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I want to take just a minute now and sort of go from person to person and share your concerns or share some successes you've had with reaching out to your students and families, or share, if your family situation. I just wanted to take a few minutes for everybody to sort of report out so that we know how everybody is. And Miss Kathy, you want to get started? I see your face first.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I've had a lot of success calling and contacting the students. I've been able to contact them every week. And not only have I contacted the students, I also have talked to a lot of the parents. And one thing that I didn't mention to you, Miss Dancy, is the students were very happy to hear from me. And I think in the beginning, they were so surprised. They're like, oh, Miss Kathy, thank you for calling. Oh, and I explained to them that I'd be calling them every week to check in. And then, talking with the parents, it's like the parents were so grateful. They're like, thank you so much for, checking in. That means a lot to us. Now, one of the things I did notice that's a challenge for some of the families is that, in fact, one of the students, Eric Brooks, his mom home teaches two of his younger siblings. So with them being, using the internet, it's like they have to take turns. So they have to share the computer with, the three of them. So she was telling me that sometimes that can be a challenge, but they're, working through that. Like, she assigns like different times for them to work and that sort of thing. But overall, the kids are doing really good. Several of them have said that, hey, they didn't think they would miss school, but they are missing school. And especially their friends, because they feel isolated because they, don't have their friends around. They can talk on the phone and that sort of thing, but it's not the same as having that face-to-face interaction and communication. So that was one of the things they, mentioned to me. But they seem to be, doing really well. And there's quite a few of them that are going to Purnell Sweat, for the lunches each day. Some of them are not, but that's one of the things I do mention to them each day, each week I talk to them is to, be sure to go, and pick up the bag lunches, and they're doing that. So that's a good thing. And I mentioned this to you, Miss Dancy, but I'll share it with the group. In the beginning, there was like just a few, maybe about 5 students that were like, Miss Kathy, I'm not going to do this packet because we're not going back to school. And I'm like, you don't know that you're not going back to school. And I'm like, even if we don't go back to school, but that decision hasn't been made, you still need to do your assignment. I said, you still need to keep learning, even though you're not in the school environment, you still need to do your work. So after, talking to them a couple times, they have completed their packets now. So I'm really proud of them. So, it's good that, we are following up with the students, because I think, those 5 students could possibly, if I hadn't followed up with them, would not have completed their packets. Now, I'm going to send Mr. Leviner an email, because during our last conference call, which we didn't have one last week, which that was, Easter break, spring break. But he had mentioned something about sending out a second packet. And I had mentioned that to the students and, encouraged them to, make sure that they had completed the first packet, because they didn't want to, I did not want them to get behind. So I've got to follow up with him to see if they will be getting a second packet. But overall, everything's going really good. I'm very proud of the students. And I told them, how proud I am. And I followed up with the seniors to make sure that they picked up their cap and gowns, and which they did. And which one of my students sent me her picture in her cap and gown. And she looked so beautiful, and she was so happy. And I was so proud of her, because she was a senior at Purnell Sweat, but she transferred, from South Robinson. So the first semester, she was having a difficult time. And then I got her name. which I saw her outside of Mr. Leviner's office one day waiting to see him. And of course, if I see students outside his office, I always take the time to, talk with them. So that's how I met her, and she has really improved. I'm so proud of her. She's like really a success story, because she was skipping school and she had kind of like a, aggressive attitude, overall attitude. And I know one of the assistant principals told me, Miss McCoyne, if you can work with her and you can get her on the right track, then you are good. So we did, and I'm so proud of her, because I think, in a lot of cases, from what I've noticed, that it just takes the students knowing that somebody really cares and just letting them know sincerely that you care. So I'm glad that, the suggestion was made that, we stay in touch with our students, because it is making a difference.
Thank you, Miss Kathy.
Welcome.
Miss Sylvia?
Well, basically what I'm doing, I'm making my contacts with the parents. And I don't really get to talk to the students that much, but I did get to talk to one last night. And she seemed like she was so glad to hear my voice. And I told her, I said, well, you keep reading, because I know that you're going to read. You love doing that. And I said, I told her mother, I said, she's one of those students I could brag on 24/7, because I know that if she has something to do, she's going to do it. I'm also checking back over my caseloads and making sure that I've got everything crossed and dotted, because I found sort of careless mistakes on my own part. And I want to make sure that everything is fine there. I talk a little bit about YouTube with my parents, because they seem to think that the biggest problem is math. And I just told them, I said, if you go to YouTube and you click in the title, like if you're adding fractions, there will be something on that program that will show you examples to follow. And it'll be good enough that it will help you at least to start doing the math that you need to do. And I said exposure is the biggest thing. As long as that child is reading something, everything's going to be fine with that. I was hoping to volunteer some, and I still am going to keep that on my agenda, because the lunch program is not over, and I do want to do that. But in the meantime, my family really has not been laid off from work. They are still having to go in, and I have 2 grands that I'm doing work with. We had a really, really big concern when my daughter signed up to go to New York. She is presently there working, and I was really worried. I tried to talk her out of going, but I feel like she thought that's where she needed to be, and it has worked out for her. She's very satisfied with that. And in the meantime, we have that little grand that we have to keep focused on, and he'll help me burn some calories, I do believe. But other than that, my next goal is CIS University. I want to try and see the program from that angle and what I can improve about myself. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Miss Sylvia. I didn't realize your daughter had gone to New York.
Well, I didn't think she was going to go, and but she had some friends up there that were calling her and telling her that she would like being there if she would get there. So I'm on Zoom now. And so that's where she decided to go. And really, they kept her in a motel room for almost 2 weeks. And I told her, I keep saying to her, the reason that you are bored is because you only have 4 walls to look at. And so when they assigned her, she said, Mama, the man told me I would love what I'm doing, and I do. So I'm satisfied with that. Yeah. Because her time is really supposed to be up this Friday. And she hasn't decided whether she'll extend another week or not. They're begging her to stay another week.
Yeah.
She hasn't decided yet. I don't try to change her mind at all, because my daughter's one of those that will say to me, well, Mama, I listened to you. You listened to me this time.
But you did too good of a job.
Yeah, well, see, I
raising
didn't
her.
want her to go to New York. I really didn't. I was paranoid. I was telling her about the number of people, but she said, no, so-and-so says it's okay, Mama. When I get there, I'll let you know. And so far it's worked out. Yeah.
Good.
Like I said, the only thing is the little baby that's helping me lose weight.
Keeping you young.
That's what
Keeping you
happens when
young.
you're 63 and they end up giving you $1,000. And I thought, oh, okay. But anyway, I did about the same thing, so I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Kayla?
So I've had more involvement with my 12th graders because they're still reaching out, like trying to do scholarships, and some still want to apply to college. So I've had a lot of success with them, but the 11th graders, they're really not reaching out as much. And like when I try to call them and stuff, sometimes I get the numbers disconnected, so it's really hard to get in contact with them. So I've sent out emails to them, hopefully that they're checking their email. I've had some reply, some not. It's about 50-50. So I created a Remind app. So with that app, the messages go directly to their cell phone. I've had more involvement with that. I have probably like 25 students on there right now. And this week I'm gonna try to call more to get like more students and parents on there. And for the college part, I've been doing like the virtual college tours, which the kids have like that. And they can actually, it's like their own campus. So they can look at all kinds of different things. But the problem that I'm having, my 12th graders that were at risk for failing, and the principal had sent out an email with students that's failing, like those students are not answering the phone really. So it's hard for me to get in contact with them to see if they're doing their work. And with these students, they're already considered failed because they've missed so many days. But we had a staff meeting, so Mr. Campbell said maybe if they actually do the work, they can kind of redeem themselves a little. But I'm not sure if they're doing the work because they're not really answering the phone or replying to emails. So that's the big problem that I'm having.
Sounds like they've already
Other
decided if they can't, if they've got a failing grade, what's the point of trying?
Yes, and then
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and the other seniors that I've gotten in contact with, they're like, Miss Kayla, I've already done 20 or 22 credits. I really don't have to do anything else, do I? I'm basically done. So they've clocked out because really at this point, if they don't have like a core class, they're done. They really don't have to do any work. And a lot of them, they realize that. So they don't want to do anything extra. So.
Well, walking in those college doors is going to hit them hard.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to them. And I'm still sending out like college readiness stuff to them. So hopefully they'll do that and get as ready as they can. Because I also had a lot of students, they still needed to take the ACT and SAT, but see, like those got rescheduled or postponed. So some of them, they're unsure about if they're going to go to college or not because they needed a higher score on those.
Right.
Well, and Shirley knows this because she's there. Maisie knows it, and Sylvia knows because they were at the high school. Zaquan graduated from there. Judy works and lives in Red Spring. We know that we're dealing with a lot of apathy. And so, you know, Kayla, you're doing a great job. Shirley's doing a great job there. But the thing is, you just keep on doing what you're doing. And if you can reach one of them, that's one of them that has not been reached. So, you know, just keep on doing what you're doing.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Kayla. Okay, Mr. Zaquan, what you got for us?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right. Well, I had some success contacting some of my students. Even though I work with 4th and 5th graders, I have to call their parents, and some of their parents still have the same number, some don't. So what I did was try to contact my data manager and see if I can get like home telephone numbers or other guardians numbers so I can, check in with them. Most of them been going to the luncheon at Lumberton High School, so therefore they eating their lunch meals and everything like that. And another concern that I have one student that don't have the transportation because their parents work and they have to stay with their grandmother, and their grandmother really don't have no transportation to take them to go get lunch. So I'm gonna make a decision. I told them to call me back sometime later this week. If they can't get no meals, I'll probably go to the school and go get it, and possibly just take it to their house and try to make sure they're good.
Mr. Zaquan, I've got backpacks here at my office, and if you do decide to do that, I'm glad for you to come by here and pick up a couple of bags to take to those children.
Right.
I'm doing that, and I failed to tell you all. On Fridays, I meet with the school counselor from Lumberton Junior High, and she helps me give out bags. Miss Judy is over at Red Springs High, and she's giving out bags. I know over in Maxton, they're giving out bags. So we're trying to keep that program going. And if any of you all know of children who are have inadequate opportunity for food and we need to help them, please reach out to me, because Campbell Soup has given me some additional money. Lumberton Rotary has given me some money. Fairmont Rotary is planning to give me some money, and I'm getting ready to talk to my coordinator after this meeting, and we're getting ready to order more food and pack more bags. So please let me know what need you have. And it doesn't matter if they're already if they've signed up through the school. If they have need and we know about that, and parents are all right with us sending food, we will do that.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was a good time to share that information with you all.
Yeah, that was my main concern about the students getting their luncheon, due to if they have lack of transportation to get there. So that was my main concern, and that was it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jermaine?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, you must have finished your breakfast today.
I didn't eat this morning. I'm waiting. This time.
We teased you last week about eating your breakfast in front of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off this time. A lot of my students, they're doing good. Some of them is not home. They staying with other family members. I asked parents about work. A lot of students are doing their work. I went into a lot of my students at the feeding sites. They doing well. Some students' phone numbers are disconnected.
Yeah.
So I haven't spoken with my data manager about contacting some of them, and the ones that don't have phones, I do see most of them at the feeding site when they do come through. As far as me, I'm doing good. I'm trying to keep my social distance for a little bit. My little boy was sick the other day. I think it had a lot to do with his allergies or whatnot, but other than that, things been going all right.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Jermaine, you've spent a lot of time with the feeding program because it's such a big thing in the Lumberton area.
It is, and also in Fairmont too.
Yeah, you've done a lot with the feeding program and making contacts and helping with that.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, Mr. Jermaine, my understanding was they have gone to Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the program. Is that correct?
3 days.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. They went to 3 days. They moved to 3 days this week.
Yeah.
But now they're,
So
but they're passing out, you can go 3 days a week, but they're passing out food for the extra day.
Right.
Or in Red Springs
Okay.
they are.
Yeah, and I think they are everywhere. You're right. Judy, you want to bring us up to date?
I didn't mean to interrupt Jermaine.
No, that's
fine. Things are going well. Here, with my students, I have to make contact with the parents most of the time. And like you say, their phone numbers change quite a bit, but I have been able to get up with a lot of them regularly. I call them weekly because we do pass out the bags. Now, all my children don't get bags, but I do try to make contact. And they say they're going to come and get bags and do all this, and I see a few of them. But the ones I do see are doing well. They're always happy to see me, and but the other kids there, the parents, when I call, everybody seems to be doing well. They stay at home, and now they've not said much about how much work they do. I ask them if they need anything as far as assistance with anything that they might need from the community standpoint. And but our teachers are really staying on top. I've noticed when I meet with them, we have weekly meetings, or Miss Breeden has weekly meetings, and they are staying on top of the children as far as the work goes. But and my family, we're doing well. I'm kind of in Sylvia's boat here. My daughter's husband is deployed, and she's always been a stay-at-home mom until about 6 months ago. She started helping some friends of ours with one of their work offices, and she does it part-time, but it's considered essential. And so she and I have been having to tag team with her children. So I've been helping out with the homeschooling, which you know how that goes with grandmamas and homeschooling, but things are going well, and I hope you all are safe too. I'm just ready to get out and do some things, but I agree, Danny, I do not want to get out too soon. This thing is a beast, and I want to stay in and stay away. So anyway.
Thank you. Ms. Maisie?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am.
Well, good morning, everyone. My major problem is contacting more parents than students. The parents will talk with me, and I said, may I speak with a student or the child? And they say, well, we only have one phone, and I'm still at work. And I'm thinking they're at home and they are at work. So a few of the parents are still working, and they're a little frustrated over some of the assignments. And I have been getting on FaceTiming 2 kids on my iPhone to help them with some reading assignment. And this little kid say, well, I still don't understand it, and I have to have him put the phone up to show me and everything and all of that. I've been communicating with the teachers, and they're very concerned about, I have about 7 or 8 kids that we cannot get up with. Wow. We've called grandparents, we call guardian, we call sisters, we call brother. There is no way we can get up with them. So we're going through the Google Classroom and the Remind, and I have to follow up with the teachers that get information on these kids. Everything seemed to be going good, and I encourage the teachers, because when I talk with all of my teachers every week and get an update from them on the kids that we cannot contact and see whether they're passing in work and some of the concerns they see there, just in case I maybe have a chance or opportunity to contact one of them. The teachers are struggling at my site. That's one of the things, they're struggling, and I try to constantly encourage them and ask them how can I assist them. And usually they'll talk to me about 30 to 45 minutes when I call them. So that's a good thing. And they're very appreciative of what I'm doing. They encourage me. They call one day and I call the next day. I call about 10 kids per day, you know, not to overload them with phone calls from staff. My situation now, I haven't seen my mom in 6 weeks. They FaceTime me to let me talk with her on FaceTime. They have some apparatus or some machine there. They equipment there that they allow me to FaceTime her. But last Friday was the 17th, and that was 6 weeks, and it was my birthday, so I called them and asked them could they bring my mom up so I could at least see her and talk to her. So they did. They dressed her and everything, and one of the nurses and one of the social workers there, or the CNA there, and one of the staff came up with my mom, and they sung happy birthday to me while she was at the window. You know how they do in the color purple, where they put your hand up on the windows, everything. I put my hand up and she was clapping and she was happy. So that was a accumulation of my whole week and my whole month of not seeing her for 6 months. It really had an impact on me. I left in little tears because I couldn't see and couldn't touch her. But other than that, I'm doing good. Okay. And my son is restricted to his base, so he cannot travel. My youngest son is still working at Purdue, and they just closed down Harbor Freight there from him. So I'm a little concerned over that in Dillon. But other than that, I'm doing good. Doing good.
Well, belated happy birthday.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Judy may know this, and it just reminded me of when she was talking about her mom. Laura Owen Stiff, retired principal.
Yeah.
Her mother passed away 102 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God. 102 years old.
Mom is 95.
Wow.
I used to work for Miss Laura at Green Grove Elementary School. Yeah. Okay.
There was a great
matter of fact, she was pregnant with her daughter when I worked with her.
In the Robertsonian in the obituary about her mom. It was just a really good reading.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. Okay.
Okay, Miss Myrna, you want to bring us up to date?
Okay. I always think that my situation is a little different because we do have, in addition to the packets, we have the Study Island program.
Okay.
And with that, I can check in. I can see what they're doing. But right now, we have all the students on, out of the 120, all the students have signed in except 4. And that's because they just don't have access. Now, you have to give a shout out to them because some of them are going to grandparents' house, some of them are going to friends' homes to get on these lessons, and they're doing that. But of course, it's not like having the teacher there to go over it, to introduce the material and that kind of thing. So their concern is when I get their messages back, Miss Myrna, is this grade going down? How important is this grade? If I don't do well, will it make a difference? And I keep telling them over and over that all we're asking is that they do their best, and that we're just looking for growth. We're just looking for improvement, and they can do that. We're not here to, grade anything and say that yes, you're going to pass or you're not going to pass. But they are doing. I say to them when I send the messages, I said, baby, spend. And a lot of them, of course, reading is an area that they don't want to tackle. And when Mr. Billy put me in as a student so I could see what their lessons were, I can understand that. These are difficult lessons. The language that they use with the Study Island program is not always what they would have heard in the classroom. It's a little bit a step up. It's kind of difficult for them, and I understand where they're coming from now. But it is a good thing because it gives them something to do. So I simply say to them, baby, I pulled up your program and you've only worked in math. I teach reading. So I make them feel guilty, But I said, if you'll spend 30 minutes in math a day, 30 minutes in reading, 30 minutes in science, and Miss Catherine would have hissy fit if you didn't spend 30 minutes in social studies.
Exactly.
That's only 2 hours.
Yeah.
I said, if you were with us, we'd have you for 6.5 hours of instruction. I mean, look how you're getting off over there. So they are working, but they're not, of course, it's not as demanding as if they were in the classroom, and they're going to miss out. But we had 9 students who applied for early college. It was kind of difficult because this past week they had to do their interviews virtually. And I spoke with one mom last night to ask how Landon's had gone. He's a quiet kid, real shy. And she said, you know, Miss Myrna, I don't know if his went okay because he is that kind of student, really smart, but an introvert, really. So they didn't get a chance to see the real Landon. So I don't know how impactful this is going to be if these students that applied don't get in and they really wanted, because these are kids who really, really wanted that opportunity. So I'm worried about that. But like Miss Macy, I try to, I make on our study guideline program, you can send messages. So I send a message a couple of times a week, and believe it or not, I mean, you won't know this particular child, and I'm not going to call her name, but she was an 8th grade student, terrorized us. She was in my girls' circle. But she sent me a message the other day, and she closed it. She said, "I love you." I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna print this off. Like, I said her name. I don't believe she said, "I love you." And they say they miss you, and they do. That is, I think they really do. One of the things, and I mentioned this to Miss Dempsey yesterday, I'm not so sure that we're getting the true picture, because nobody really wants to expose themselves out there. They, you know, they're not always honest about their needs, I think. But I do know, and I feel strongly, that when we come back, or when we ever start back in the fall, school, that we're going to deal with some situations, and we have to walk carefully with our students. We have to be very compassionate about these situations that they've gone through. We've had students who have died. We have students whose parents have died. On top of all of this, like Miss Judy reminded me, it seems a simple thing to walk around and see people with face masks. But when you put it all together, that's dramatic. You know, it's the little things. It's the little things that kind of bother me a lot. So yeah, I am worried, and I do know that being at the academy, I always say, if Miss Kinlaw could come back, she probably wouldn't give me this job, but she'd probably keep it for herself. But I know how blessed I am to be there and to be a part of 2 families. I have you as my family that I can call and shout out to, but I have them too. So yeah, I'm the lucky one in the group. I know that. I know that. And I do appreciate it so much.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Dr. Stedman and I sat down with Mr. Billy yesterday, and one of the things we talked about was we're all going to have to take time once we come back together. School family, work-related family, to really debrief and decompress, because this has been stressful in one shape or form of another, and it's like after the hurricanes, everybody had to share their situation, and that really needs to happen before we can dive back into the academics. And I know there's going to be that sense of, well, we've got to catch up. But I really do think that's important. And so I hope, I know some of you all are participating in the online staff development around trauma, around care, around resiliency. But the more we arm ourselves with deeper knowledge of that, I think the better prepared we are going to be to help our students cope and re-enter in a positive way. And so those skill sets are going to be important for us going forward.
Ms. Denton.
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Denton. I also forgot to mention that Miss White from the Choice Bus, she has contacted me, and she was encouraging us to stay strong, and that if there was anything that they could do to please contact her. She in return email and text me her personal information, how I could get back in contact with her. And I told her I had some videos, the one that I sent out to you all. We discussed that, and I sent that to her, and she said thanks. And she said we ourselves need to touch base with each other, so because this is a time that's not only stressful to the kids, but it's just stressful to us. And that we need to sort of put our hands and our hearts together and encourage and appreciate each other every day also. So she was really, she prayed for me that day. We prayed on the phone together that day, because we had sort of a bonding relationship before she left that day.
Oh, well, good, Miss Macy. I'm so pleased to hear that. Yeah.
Can I remind the group that those McDonald's gift cards are dated? They'll go out at the end of May. So like if you're at the feeding program, if you want to take them and just give them to students, if to your students who come for the lunch programs, my thing was they are dated for the end of May. So we need to be sure that we give them out by then.
And what is that?
Those McDonald's gift cards.
Oh, yes.
We were
Yes.
giving them for work.
Out during the Christmas holidays. I did that. I happened to do that for a token for them for completing some work assignments that I.
Right.
I was using them.
That was a Christmas gift, that Christmas incentive.
I don't know how many you have, and then Shirley, we haven't forgotten about you. Don't know how many you have, but I don't know if you've got enough left for all of your students. But Dincy, thinking about just purchasing some boxes of cards for each of them, and then them writing a little note and putting it in it and mailing it to the students. That may be something to think about doing, getting something in the mail from them. That's just a thought.
But I appreciate you reminding us of that, Ms. Myrna, because we don't want those sitting in a drawer somewhere if the students can use those.
Right.
Okay, Ms. Shirley. You ready?
Yeah, I had to unmute myself.
Okay.
Hey everybody. I just called. But so yeah, at Red Springs High School, my situation is kind of like a blend of kind of what everybody else said. A lot of my younger grades, their emails at the beginning, when all this happened, I reached out to the data manager, the principal counselors and all of that. And for some reason, they said they couldn't retrieve the emails for me. And so Ms. Kayla had told me about a code of how their emails are with their first name, last name, and last four of the student ID number. But with that, some of the emails still weren't right. So what I've done is I've actually reached out to teachers that I do know that the students have, and I've been attending their Zoom sessions and then trying to communicate with them through the video or through audio. Also, my 12th graders, that's the majority of the ones that I've been keeping in touch with, only because there's been a lot of changes with college admissions. A lot of colleges are changing their requirements. So, you know, of course, they're coming about scholarships, editing scholarships, wanting to know if the school that they really wanted to go to, if they changed their SAT or SAT scores, wanting to know what decision they should make about, you know, what school they should choose. But the issue is that they just don't know. It's like, even though they're very prone to internet, they don't know how to communicate through the internet. which is funny. Yeah, so I've been reaching out to college admissions. I meet up with the guidance counselors. I've met up with them a few times to try to see if we can make sure that another scholarship packet goes out, and make sure that the admissions people that are reaching out to them make sure that they're getting in touch with the students, because admissions typically don't call the house. They typically just mail things out, and even though they've mailed things out, they said they haven't received responses from some students. So I've just been trying to navigate through other people, because I have a similar situation as everybody else. It's like I would say probably about 50% of my students do not respond. Even when I email them, I even had one student, I had to go through his girlfriend to get him. And when I found him, he was fishing. So, it was like, I was like, we have an appointment. We were supposed to meet on Friday, through the video. And he was like, oh, I forgot. I still haven't heard from him. And then you still, you have the students too, where, they have over the amount of credits. So they do not feel like they should have to, submit work. And I think the students can tell that it's busy work. I think they can tell that it doesn't align with what they were learning when they were in school. So a lot of them are just like, a lot of the older grades, 11th, 12th graders, some of my 10th graders, they're, I have to stay on them and make sure I email them or text their parents. But other than that, the lower grades, like 9th and some more of the 10th graders, they're responding to their teachers, but they're not responding to my emails. So that's why I'm going through the Zoom with the teachers now through their Google Classroom. Yep. Oh, and then summer camp, of course. We're still up in the air for summer camp. We are not sure what we're going to do. Right now, we're still planning, and Miss Judy, I plan to come to one of the sites. If not, are you going to be there this Friday?
Yes.
Okay, I'll come, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about the updates that the middle school has, because the high school doesn't know right now what they're going to do, or even if they have a summer camp, they're not sure if we'll have the space for us to have our own. That is the only update that I did hear from Mr. Patterson. But as far as Mr. Donnell Campbell and like the guidance counselor, social worker, all that, nobody really knows what they're going to do at Red Springs for the summer right now.
Well, that's the way it is. It's all up in the air, I think.
Yeah, but we're still planning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say, I think we need to be ready when we hear something, but I think it will be, this was part of our discussion yesterday, even with CIS Academy. We're not going to be too hasty to put a date on something, but we want to be ready with a plan and ready to go when we get that sort of clearance from the governor. And I think it'll be soon. I think, it's the almost the end of April now, and I think by the 30th we will have some, at least a tentative date. But I think that's the piece that's really we want to be ready. We want to have our plans in place. And
I do have a question.
Sure.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but Miss Kayla and I still have not received a notification or anything about our third quarter grades.
Wow.
Then I need to reach out to Dr. Locklear, and thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah, and Kayla, I don't know if it's been the same for you, but I just feel like our school is kind of giving us the runaround with a lot of things, like because like I said, when I tried to get the updated numbers and the updated emails, like nobody know, and I don't know, you know, the school dynamics that well to know if there's someone in the school that has it, but everybody told me they didn't have the information. And so I was like, you know, I don't know if that is, I don't know, Dr. Stemmen, in like the school, is that how, who would have that information?
If the others have it, then they have it too. They're not excluded from the information. So if the other people have been able to get what they needed to get successfully, then there's no reason why you and Kayla should not be able to. So Denzie's right. She's going to have to probably communicate through Dr. Locklear. And it may be that somebody just doesn't understand that they can release that information, and they just need to hear from Dr. Locklear.
I had the same problem too. I reached out to my data manager asking about the enrollment of students at the school now, since I don't know how many transferred to other schools and everything. And I haven't got any information about that either, as far as the enrollments and daily attendance of the students at Kara Miller. So.
Right. Okay.
Nancy, you may want to when you communicate with Dr. Locklear, just say that since people are not at the schools, is there a one contact person at the central service level that would have that information? Angela would be the person that would have that information with the Power School.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that today.
Yeah, I wanted to say too that, and this is more for Shirley, Kayla, and Kathy. There has been some language out there, don't know what it's going to consist of. I even think that college enrollments and acceptances are going to be different this year than they've ever been. They are trying to, because they're not going to be able to take the SAT or the ACT, or they're going to have to take it. Things are so different. There's a group out there that's trying to say that for the enrollment this year, that the SAT and ACT should not be counted.
Right.
So that language is out there. So I think that's even up in the air.
They pushed it, the ACT and SAT, all the way back to, I think, either June or July. So, you know, that puts a lot of kids in jeopardy, especially athletes, especially people who have full ride scholarships. I know that a lot of schools have changed their SAT, their testing scores to more, you know, realistic scores, like, because, you know, to get in college, most schools are either 17 or 18 for the ACT, or like a 1200 for the what's other test, y'all? Thank you, SAT. But I do know that I get notifications from a lot of the colleges, and they've decreased the scores tremendously. Like, even if you have like a 2 point something, if you at least got like a 16 on your ACT score, they'll admit you, because they know the numbers are going to be low. They're taking, you know, they're making those accommodations, which is good. You know,
well, they need the revenue just like everybody else. I mean, they've suffered losses economically as well, especially smaller private schools where they've had to return tuition costs and fees. So you're right. They're not that they're dumbing down, but this is a unique situation this year, and they're trying to make accommodations. Is there anything else we need to talk about? I will just let you all know Connie and I continue to come into work, and we're right here. The phones are very quiet. I do know that our board of directors did not meet in April, but we don't meet in April annually, and so we will meet again in May. I know that, like I told you earlier, we have received some extra funding for our backpacks program, and I appreciate the community support of that. We're right here if there's some things that we need to do to help you personally or professionally. I hope you don't hesitate to reach out to us. I appreciate that you all have been sending in your weekly timesheets. That gives me a real good idea of what you're doing and how you're continuing to, keep up with your hours. Dr. Stedman, can you think of anything else? I think that pretty well covers it. I would hope we would go ahead and make a plan to meet next week, and just so we can keep in touch with each other. And this is a good way to do that. I don't, we're trying to send out information as we get it. So I'm not going to wait until next week to give you any information that I might have. But I still think it's an opportunity for us to share. Yes, Ms. Shirley?
Also, I don't know, was everybody in the meeting, Miss Myrna? Was everybody in the meeting with Akila that we had when she gave?
Jermaine and Kayla were not able to be there.
Okay, because I was just gonna say, if anybody wants to get together in Zoom and we go over the end of quarter stuff, just let's try to, I would love to with y'all that. Only because Akila did mention that it's a lot, I'm not gonna say it's easier, but because we kind of know that fourth quarter they won't be taking in any new grades, we will be using those third quarter grades. So that means that we low-key can start now, even just even if we're just writing it down and just reusing. So basically we're just going to be reusing the third quarter grades to do our end of year reporting. Since I don't know if we're going to be able to be in front of each other, y'all know, everybody else, how end of year that stuff goes. So, I just want to make sure that everyone is comfortable seeing that we may have to do it online. Because I know for me, it worked better having all of us in front of each other. We can see each other's data and, stuff like that. And I just,
Shirley,
I don't want nobody new to be struggling.
Well, let me also offer, I don't know that you all have seen it, but at the far end of the hall here in our office, there is a very, very large conference area. And unlike the smaller room where we've met, it's a huge room, and you all could come in and do the social distancing very easily in that space, as long as I have a little notice and can let Tate Johnson know that we need that space. He can set that up for us. And, if that might be an easier way, because I know Zoom can be a little cumbersome, especially if you're sharing information, only the presenter can put those things up on the board. But you all talk about it, and if that's something that you'd like to do, or maybe small groups of you all to come in and do that. But that room can be utilized, and we can spread out, and you all can set up in there.
Ms. Nancy, I also mentioned to Mr. Billy. I already mentioned to Mr. Billy. He said we could use the large room there at the CIS Academy.
CIS,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've got a couple of options there, as long as you all feel comfortable with that.
Right.
I definitely like to see that, because I helped Miss Myrna close out last year, but this will be my first year trying to close out.
Right.
And plus, for us in the public schools, we have to do a contact log every week and a timesheet every week and send in. Am I right, Judy? My school have me doing a remote contact log, and I had to do a remote work request log, and I have to do my timesheet on Friday of every week. I have to send it in. That's something different.
My principal has not required me to do that. I just do my things for Dempsey. So,
Well,
but I do stay in contact with her, but I don't send her anything.
Because I think, Ms. Dempsey, I send it to you every week.
You have, and I appreciate that, Ms. Maisie.
Okay.
And that's something that Charles Locklear asked you to do, and
Right.
You're right. Your principal requested that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you all taking time this morning to sit down and visit together. I'm glad to see everybody looking well, and glad to hear your stories, and appreciate all that you're doing to reach out to children. I know they're going to need us. One of the things I shared was with Rotary yesterday. Connectivity, we're finding out, is a huge issue across our county. And I do believe as a result of this pandemic, we will see a push once we get, things settle down. And I'm hoping from our federal government to look at ways to provide all areas with broadband internet that they need, because I think education will go in a different direction. And Dr. Stedman and I have to discuss this a little bit. Now that we're doing Zoom and online things and Google Classroom and Study Island, I think the education over the course of the next 5 or 10 years will change rapidly. And so that broadband is going to be important. So, oftentimes we don't always look for the silver linings in global issues like this, but I think I'm hopeful that this is one of the silver linings that will come out of this difficult time we've all been going through. Increased understanding of how rural areas really suffer as a result of not being connected to the internet. And so hopefully we will begin to see those things change. It won't happen overnight, but I do think I feel like that's going to be a huge issue. And if our educators are not bringing that message loud and clear before now, they certainly are doing it now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm ready to sign off.
Okay. So you're saying
Right.
next week at the same time?
Does that suit?
Are you saying next week at the
Wednesday.
same time?
And Miss Shirley, if you want to coordinate something before then and get your crowd together, then you just let me know what that plan is, and Dr. Stedman, and we'll support you, okay?
Okay. I mean, is everybody else down for that though? With the end of year stuff?
Yes, Shirley. Yes.
Yeah,
Why you
sounds
gotta say
fun.
my name like that?
What?
Miss Maisie, why you gotta say my name like that?
Cause I love you like that.
Oh, so,
I don't love everyone now. Don't misunderstand.
but I'm the favorite. I'm the favorite.
Yes, you are. Yes. No, Miss Myrna, don't you get Jay. You all have a good one.
You too. Bye,
You
guys.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.